Hello. Today I wanted to actually just kind of do a video where I play around with some A6 pages from an English Hobonichi and give you some impressions about what I think. I've been using the A5 cousin in Japanese, and I have really loved this planner. I've just taken to it, and it works for me, and I really like it. So one of my viewers, Brenda, and thank you, Brenda, you're so awesome. She said that she had some A6 pages that she wasn't using from a previous year, and she offered to send them to me to try them out. And thank you so much. I really appreciate it. So she gave me like a nice chunk of October, actually, which was kind of cool. So I could, really use them, I think, if I wanted to. But what I decided to do is go back through my cousin and just like recreate some of the pages that I had to see how it all would fit. I really like this size. It's much smaller than I envisioned, even though I knew it was half the size of a cousin. I guess I just still couldn't really picture that. It's different when you hold it in your hand. So I really appreciate you sending these to me, Brenda, because I get to hold it in my hand. Just to kind of measure across, it's about the pages are about 4 1/8 of an inch across and about 5 7/8 of an inch tall. So they're pretty tiny. I mean, if I put my hand on the page, or how could I do that? If I hold my hand in front, it's like pretty much the size of my hand. My hand is a little bit longer. One of my viewers said that my camera was too close, and my response was, I'm doing the best that I can with what I have. I have a very old camera that my husband got for me before we were even married, so it's got to be like 12 years old, and the tripod is the same. That's the equipment that I'm using to film this. So it's definitely not a high-tech operation, and it's not my full-time job. So I hope that this is not too close for you guys, but I work with what I have. But I digress. So here are the pages, and I have already discovered through using the cousin that I'm absolutely loving this planner. It just is working for me really well. So you might think, well, why change it? Well, I think that I will end up with one of each size, and I've already kind of worked out what I would use those different sizes for. We'll see. I know myself. I have a feeling it's coming. So before I get into setting this up and looking at the features, I just wanted to do kind of a walkthrough of what I've got going on. So this is my cousin, and it's an avec. This half of the avec was sent to me by another viewer, Kiri. Thank you so much. She wasn't using it, and she sent it to me to give it a try. And after using this, I ordered my own set of my own cousin avec for 2017. That's the next year. And I ordered this cover, which I still really like. I enjoy looking at it. I think it's pretty. So I'm using the pen that came with the Hobonichi, which I'm enjoying. I like Unijet Stream. I like the fine tip. So it's working for me. Although I can see the grip is kind of getting a little dingy looking, because I do use this every day. But that kind of makes me think, like, how dirty are my hands? But I teach school, and I wash my hands a lot, and it's getting used. So I'll just kind of show you the little bit of the setup that I have. So in here, I just have these little page markers, which are adorable. These are the little dogs that I got from the Hobonichi website. I gave a couple to some coworkers because they are also animal lovers, and it's so cute. So that's what I have in these pockets, and that's it. And I really do like the green inside. It's nice and fun and bright. And then I have one of the notebooks. Let me just open this notebook and make sure. So I'll open it to a different page. So this is just the grid notebook for the cousin, and I love how thin it is because I can just slide it right in here. And what I have in it is just a few notes, not very many, but just some information that I've written down that I would need no matter what year it was. like the password to get into our substitute system for our school. I can never remember my password and my PIN number, and of course when I need it, it's, you know, not a good time for me to try to like dig it up. So I've written it in there so I don't, you know, lose it. Things like that. Not very many things. And so then I have my cousin. In the back I have the pencil board, which I do enjoy using when I remember to use it. So I don't use this as much as I thought, but sometimes I do. And like I said, I like when I do use it and I just don't remember that it's always there. And oftentimes I just have this sitting open on my desk, like at work or at home, and I'm just quickly making notes in it, and I don't have time to pull out the pencil board. I guess I could just move it there at the beginning of the day and close it on the pencil board, but I don't know. So I just leave it tucked here in this back pocket, and that's all I have like in the actual cover of the planner. So I'm just going to kind of show you a few things. So with the cousin, in the monthly spread, I've been keeping track of various things. I don't need to track much, just a little bit, but I've been keeping track of some of those things and doing some forward planning in it. So I'm not going to get super close to show you everything, but you get the idea that this is just for like reminders to take out the trash, various events with my school, and some appointments that I might have, and tracking a couple of different things. So that's how I'm using the monthlies. Then pages that were in the beginning I've been using just for samples or meal planning or grocery lists or various, I'm just using it like as scratch paper basically. So the beginning part was just kind of scratch paper. Then we get into when I actually got this planner, and so now I've started using it. And so I've talked about this in other videos, but just very briefly, I teach two different classes, two different courses, and I have two classes of each of those courses. One of those courses I teach both classes on Mondays and Wednesdays, and one of those courses I teach on Tuesday and Thursday. I teach one class each. So I'm keeping track of my lesson plans on there, as well as any to-dos and my meal planning, along with any notes that I'll have that come throughout the day. So I'm just going to kind of flip through, and you can see, so what I've been doing is I've been putting like columns for my lesson plans, but I think in something smaller I would actually have more room, because I can, well, I'll talk about that. Like I'm thinking one on each page. So as you can see, I've just got to-dos and lesson plans and meal plans. And so like sometimes, let's see, some days are not filled up, and those are the days that I really enjoy. So like that Sunday was very nice, right? It doesn't bother me to have the empty page. I know it bothers some people. I actually spilled some water in here, and and because it's such awesome paper, it didn't matter. So again, just kind of doing like a quick flip through. You can see some days there's not a whole lot, and some days there's a whole lot, like this day and this day, which got really busy. And here we are on the current day. And so I've just been keeping track of my days with this adorable little dog page marker, and of course the bookmark. I'm using the triangle for today and the square for the monthly. And I've really enjoyed it. There's plenty of room for me. I very rarely feel like I've run out of room, and I'm really liking it for everything all in one place. So I change it if it isn't, if it isn't broke, why fix it? Well, or if it ain't broke, why fix it? Because, I'm a planner person. So, and I'm always looking for the perfect thing. So if I line up those two pages from the A6, it perfectly fits to make an A5 page. It's still, I think, hard to visualize without holding the papers in your hand, but there it is. So, love the cousin. It isn't, I can't imagine what the, oops, let me fix that. I can't imagine what the full-size cousin feels like. I think that that thing would probably be pretty heavy. This is not super heavy, especially compared to some of my previous planners. It's not super heavy, but it is kind of large. It will fit in my purse, but this is a large planner, and it's not super portable. It's portable if it has to be, but that's kind of why I was interested in this and the weeks. So, my thought is, if I were to get the other, one of the other or both of the other, the weeks and an A6 size, that I would no longer have my life all in one place. It would now be how it was for years, which is a work planner and a home planner. And I don't know how I feel about that yet, because I've really enjoyed having it all together. I envision that if I were to get an A6 and get a weeks, that this would be my school planner, the weeks would be my personal planner, and the cousin, which I have already purchased, would become an art journal. Or the cousin would be my work planner, and this would be an art, not an art journal, but I've paid for an online art class, and there's, you know, something to do every week, and I would do the practice in these because the paper is really good, and this would give me a small size to work with, or the cousin even would give me a smaller size than like the sketch pad that I have. So just something to think about. So I wanted to see, how would this work as a work planner? That was my main first thought. I also think I'm going to do a little bit of the art class on this size to see how I like it in there as well, but that I'm not going to do today. So I want to pick like a busy day, and I'm going to do recreate this. Okay, so I'm going to pick the 12th, and I'm not going to get crazy with the colors and all of that. I'm just going to simply recreate it. Now, I don't know if this has changed. I think that she said this is a 2015, if I remember. Yeah, this is from 2015. And so I don't know if it's changed to 2016 and 2017, but the basic features, you have the date, the day, the month, the week, the moon, the calendar, you know, what date it is in the calendar. Not sure what that is. Let's see if I can make sense of that. I don't know what that means. The little orange. And then on the side, you have the month, the day, or I'm sorry, a monthly calendar, and the days that would be facing. So you'd have the 8th on this side and the 9th on this side. So those two pages. The quotes at the bottom. And then along this side, you just have a solid line. The rest of it is a dot or a dashed grid. And there's a 12 right there. And then at the bottom, there's a little fork and knife, which is kind of cool for a meal plan. So if we open it up to a spread like this, it looks like that. And the weekends are orange, or Sunday is orange. So I'm just going to go for it, and I'm going to see if I can actually fit both things. I know I couldn't fit both things. That's just not practical. Let's open it to a 2-page spread and create it like this. So what I envision, and it wouldn't work out every day, because if I had like a Monday and a Tuesday here, that would work out perfectly. Then you flip Wednesday, Thursday, that would work out perfectly for my teaching schedule, because I could have one class's lesson plans here and one class's lesson plans here. But then that wouldn't work out forever, because there are 7 days in a week, and it's, you know, after the first week, it's going to get thrown off. So I think what I would have to do is I would just, if I were going to use a setup like this, I would write one lesson plan on Monday, one on Tuesday, and so I may have to flip back and forth in the class period to look, which I mean is nothing, come on. So let's go ahead and kind of set this up. So I'm recreating this day, And I'm only going to put my work to-dos on here because in my planner I have work and home, but not all of this would be things I need to do at work. One thing I do like about the work and home together is, like, if I have my prep period or if I'm on lunch and I have a to-do I can knock out then, I see it and it reminds me, oh, just get this done. Like if it's a phone call I need to make. I would miss having that in this. So that might be something that I would have to do the night before, is look at both my personal and my work planner and add anything like that into my work planner to make sure that I would see it, because I likely wouldn't have both setting out. Kind of, I don't know how I feel about that. So I'm going to actually put any to-dos that I would have done at work in here. So, and then I'm going to put my lesson plan in here. There's no real like designated spot for to-dos like there is in the cousin. There's like a little checklist over here, and this seems like maybe a little wasted area. I don't know, they could have gridded that or done something with that. But I'm going to go ahead and create this, and I think you can see what I'm doing. So I'm going to call property management to schedule walkthrough. Oops. I need to email principal regarding appointment on 12th. So this is tiny. This is tiny for sure. I would have done that at home. I would have done this, call Dr. S after 2 p.m. I might have done that like right after school. And I would remind myself, dog to vet as walk-in. So those are really squished, and those are my to-dos. And I wrote kind of sloppy, how I would normally just kind of like jot something down really quick if I were at work. I wouldn't put my meal plan in here, but I would put my lesson plan. So I'm going to go ahead and add that now, just how I do it in the cousin. So career planning. And the first thing we would do is warm up. And the word we did was initiative. Then, oh, well, I squished this in here. Then we did the college syllabus. And then we did, and I've noticed that on the Hobonichi on the cousin, I don't necessarily write in the grids. So I'm just kind of doing it how I would normally do it. Higher ed research. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. 3, successful worker / workplace ethics snake video. One of the things I do like about the Hobonichi is you do have the lines there if you want to use them, but if you don't use them, it just kind of fades in the background. I think it's that dashed grid. And then we did public speaking, 5 success skills, 6 homework. I made a note for myself, F group, FAFSA, account online. And then I had, I guess I called in for a sub that day. And so I'll just put sub confirmation number and I'll make it up. So that was one day, and I pretty much used up the entire page. I had 4 to-dos at the top, and I had like a not a typical size lesson plan. Sometimes my lesson plans are longer than that. I need a little more detail. Sometimes I'm writing some directions for myself. Sometimes it's a little bit shorter, depending on how familiar I am with the assignment that, you know, if I've assigned it before, if I've changed it up. But that's what it would look like. So now I'm going to write out the next day's lesson plan that went with that. It wouldn't be the next day's lesson plan. It was the same day, but the second course that I teach. So the way it would be, I think, is I would leave spots at the top for to-dos, or I would put those at the bottom and I would write my lesson plan starting at the top and fill up what I would need to and then add to-dos at the bottom. I'm going to try it both ways and see what happens. So I'm gonna just now make the lesson plan start up here. So this would be for my English class. And the first thing we did was membean test. And then collect fast food essay. Warm up. Do what? Smoking / vaping. 5. Hookah article. And we did PDP notes, annotations with the prompt, homework, and then I had my quote. More than 8.5 million Americans have smoking related chronic illnesses, and that's the US FDA. And so then I wouldn't have very many spots for to-dos on the bottom, and so if I'm looking at that day, some of my to-dos were at school. I had to complete a time card, 9:30 to 3:30. I had to call Dr. S regarding charges. I had to arrange a sub, update lesson plans, next week's lesson plans. I also had to do, I had to do grades, attendance. I just picked a week that actually didn't look too bad to me. And I had to grade papers. And I had to water the violets. And that's like in the office. And then I had to show our like student news and study hall. And so when I'm looking at this, I don't really have much room on this paper. I guess I'd put it at the bottom. Show GB and study hall. So essentially, oh my god, I even missed some more things. Why does that thing keep changing? My light is changing, which is very bizarre. Let's see. I actually missed 4 to-dos. Oh my god. Oh. So, maybe this is already telling me this would not work. This is really small. It's really tiny. So let me show you the 2 days I was trying to recreate. I didn't even actually write everything that I had. So this would be for one course, this would be for another course. Although I teach them both on the same day, I would have to flip back and forth. Now, when I look at it, is my writing a whole lot bigger? Not really, because if I look at my lesson plan for this, I started on this line and I ended right there. So I mean, it's like the same exact, I'm taking up like the same amount of space. It's not like I wrote a whole lot larger. So like for this one, for my English lesson plan, it physically started there and ended there. So I actually took up more space in the cousin that I did on this A6 page. So that didn't change, like the size of my writing didn't change there. I didn't include my meal plan, and I didn't include one of my to-dos up here, which would have just been a strictly home thing. On this side, so let's say that this is Monday and this is Tuesday in this book. I've separated my lesson plans. Those were my to-dos for Monday, but my to-dos for Tuesday were actually all of these things. Here's my meal plan. I had a note that would have been in my personal planner, plus I had these 4 to-dos that I didn't actually write on this page because I had complete my time card, which I put there, call my doctor, email or arrange for the sub, update my lesson plans, next week lesson plans, and then I started up here, grades, attendance, grade papers, water the violets. So that covered all of these up here except for a home to do, and that was another home to do. I added this at the very bottom and didn't put my meal plan, didn't put the personal note, and I didn't even add those 4 to-dos. So this wasn't a particularly busy 2 days. Because if you look, I just flipped the page. I had less to-dos here, but I still had quite a few to-dos there. This was a weekend, or Friday I had a few meetings actually, but we don't actually have our classes typically on Friday. So here is a Monday again. So my lesson plans take up typically about the same space each day. Had a couple notes I added to myself, my meal plan, and these were all work to-dos that I would have had to have added. The next day, these were all to-dos. So these would all be just to-do notes that I would have to add in addition to a lesson plan, if that makes sense. Here's my 2 lesson plans, some to-dos, because most of my to-dos have to do with work, and these were all to-dos. So as I'm looking at this more and more, I really don't think that this would work as a work planner for me, which kind of sucks. Because I think by the time I have both lesson plans written out, like here's another typical one. 2 lesson plans, a couple to-dos up there, but then these are my to-dos on the next day, and I always have more to-dos on the second day because that's the day I have my prep period, so that's where I'm able to get most of this done, because on Tuesdays and Thursdays I have a prep, but Monday and Wednesday I don't have any prep. I just teach all day long with a break for lunch, so I can get a whole lot more done. That's why I have these, and we have a block schedule of 2-hour classes, so I have a 2-hour prep period on that day. I just don't think that if I wrote a lesson plan on each day and then I split up my to-dos, that I would actually have enough room for all of that. Now, I could try to write smaller, but as I showed you when I wrote those lesson plans out, I didn't actually write any larger than I normally do. And it was just kind of what I would naturally do. This was this page. It was just kind of what I would naturally do. I could purposely write smaller, but that is not something I would normally do. I mean, I have to be able to also read it from, kind of a distance. So I don't know that this would actually work for me. And I don't think that I would have, if I actually were to split up into a home planner and a work planner, I don't think that I would actually have enough to-dos in both separate places. Like, I don't think I would need this much room for my own personal home planner. I think the weeks would probably be sufficient. But if work doesn't fit into this, then why even get a weeks? Because I can fit everything into the cousin. The cousin isn't, I really was looking for that, like, ultra portability. Alright. I'm at a half an hour. This was an experimental video. This was you hearing me think out and think through, reasoning out, do I need another planner? I don't even know if this video would be very popular. I'm sure somebody will be interested in it, because I would probably watch a video like this. I like those kind of long rambling videos. I think there might be more to come. I think, I don't think I'm ready to spend the money yet on another couple Hobonichis, just because the shipping is expensive and the planners themselves are expensive. And I did buy a cousin for next year, and I know the cousin works for me. So it's just a matter of, do I need this little guy? It's so cute. And I'm telling you, that French bread Weeks is really calling my name. It's bright yellow with a little, little bread on it, little loaves of bread. It's very cute. But is it practical? I would really love to get a sample of the weeks and really, like, look at all 3 pages and physically see them all, like, where I could actually write out, like, a sample of a couple days and just see how it would all come together. That would be my ideal, to try it out, but I don't know that I will get that opportunity. So we'll see. I'm going to think about it. This was actually really helpful, so thank you again, Brenda, because I had been waiting to get the samples before I committed to anything, and I'm glad that I did, because after doing this, I'm kind of second guessing where I would have a need for this size of a planner. The other thought is I could do the art class in here, and I kind of like that idea, because then it's small enough that it's not taking me forever to do these art projects, because I just don't have the space. Like, if I'm going to sketch some leaves, this is how much space I have for the day, and then I could go to the next day. So it could actually maybe be a daily thing, like it's supposed to, instead of a really occasional thing, because I have a big blank paper that I'm trying to fill up. That's another interesting thought. I might have to try that. So, no decisions made, but definitely some food for thought for me, and some pages to play with. So I'm going to check this out some more. I'm going to, maybe if people, don't hate this video, maybe I'll do some future exploration of how to use these pages in another video. But for now, I'm definitely not quite sold on this size, although I like it, and I think this would be perfect for my purse. I just don't know if I would need it, or it would work very well for me and what I'm thinking. Because then if I go to 2 different planners, now I'm carrying 2 different planners in my purse, my personal and my work, and I wonder, does that replace the bulk, just in a different configuration of bulk? I don't know. I don't know if I'm making any sense at this point. So I'm going to go ahead and close this down and say thank you again to Brenda. I hope that this was on some level interesting to you, and maybe even useful and helpful. Just seeing, what you can fit on a cousin page versus what you can fit on these. So thank you so much for watching. If you stuck around with me, I really appreciate it. And I hope you're having a good day, and I will speak with you soon. Bye.